Good morning from northeast El Paso, Texas. It's probably about 5:15 right now. My brother and I are getting ready to attempt Anthony's Nose, which is probably the northernmost high point of the Franklin Mountains. We're going to take some trails and some roads to the base and then just head off trail. We're slowly approaching the base of Anthony's Nose. Don't know exactly what route we'll take up to the top yet, but we're going to get closer and then just figure it out from there. We were initially on the fence line trail and then got off of that, ended up on the Lazy Cow trail, which was really stupid. Wasted a lot of time there, and then we finally made it to the Trench Town trail, and now we're branching off on this Rock Shock trail here. So this should take us to the base of the range, and then we'll figure out our next step from there. A really beautiful morning so far. It's pretty cool, only in the 70s. And it stormed about 140 or so last night. And looks like it cleared out the air a little bit too, so it's really nice. All right, we've come to this wash here. We're still on the trail, but we're gonna go off trail from here, up the wash, and then just kind of see what this looks like. We'll probably take one of the ridges up to the right eventually, but we're gonna start here up the wash and get going that way. Well, the sun just went behind the clouds. We've been in the shade for the most part in the wash here. I'm getting up higher, but still have a long way to go. I figured on taking the wash because it avoids the most vegetation. So we're gonna keep taking the wash up a little further and then possibly branch off to the right more and maybe head up somewhere in there and then up to the ridge. I think that's the route we're going to take, but we'll get further and just kind of see what it looks like, figure out what's best. Well, this is our first real steep climb so far. So it's starting to get steeper. We may run into something we can't climb up, but hopefully we can keep going on this for as long as possible. We just had to climb around the cliff. But staying in the wash here is the best option as far as we can, just because there's less vegetation. And then it's going to get rockier and rockier towards the top, so I think we'll be able to pick out a route somewhere up to that high point up there. I hope that's the ridge right there. It's been nice for a while just walking up solid rock. Basically steep, but just so much nicer than walking through vegetation. So this is our view looking up. And I think the highest point further back is the top ridge of the range. So it looks like a good bit of solid rock for a while, and hopefully it stays that way all the way up. Definitely been pretty steep recently. But we're avoiding vegetation for the most part the way we're going. And that's the best thing to do right now. Stay out of the vegetation, stay on solid rock. Makes it the easiest. So we're heading up in this direction now. We're taking a little bit more of a turn to the right. Okay, made it up to the ridge. It's gonna be a little walk. It's still a good ways, but there's the peak, Anthony's Nose out there. Shouldn't be too much vegetation along the ridge. It looks like there are gonna be a couple of tough sections getting up to the main part, but once we get a little higher up towards the summit, it shouldn't be too bad. There's gonna be one section I can see that's gonna be pretty tough to negotiate. So we'll take our time. Hopefully another hour or so we'll be up there. It's not much more climbing from now. That little gap where the sunlight is shining through the one closer is where we came up, and then we worked our way along the ridge. I think we skirted either one or both of those high points, and then we worked our way down to the lowest point, which is somewhere around there, and then started climbing back up again. So that was the lowest point there. We may actually head back down on the way back at that point versus going back up the ridge and then going back the way we came, because it looks like there's a nice wash down below there too, and then hit another trail. But anyway, we are resting in the shade here below or behind this outcropping, and then we have to work our way up onto the ridge there. So get up to the ridge. That's not the summit up there, it's still a good ways after that. My brother just made it up through a little bit harder of a section. You have to be really careful, you can't fall in either direction. But it's not too bad as long as you stay in the middle and take your time. He's on top of the high point that we could see from below in the last clip. And we shouldn't have more than maybe 20 minutes to go and we'll be at the summit. Summit of Anthony's Nose. Here's the summit marker covered with ladybugs. We made it. Not bad. Not bad, and then the views are even better. This is amazing. Wow. Sacramento Mountain, or the Oregon Mountains up here. Sacramento Mountains. Over in this direction, Sierra Blanca Peak a little further away. Beautiful views, great views. Great day. Made it to the summit of Anthony's Nose. Tough hike, but not too bad. So this is looking off the northeast face of Anthony's Nose, the cliff. And it looks like I can see probably 1,000 feet down, if not more. I'm gonna zoom in again on Sierra Blanca Peak here. See if it'll pick up. It's hard for me to see the camera screen with the haze. I'm zooming in on Sierra Blanca. So that is the highest point in southern New Mexico. Just a little bit below 12,000 feet. And then there's the Oregon Mountains there. So a month ago from today, we were on top of the Oregon Needle. Actually 28 days ago, 4 weeks from today. Oregon Peak is the one on the right, and the Oregon Needle is that one in the center there. Yeah, that's the Oregon Needle. About 2,000 feet higher than here. Doesn't look it from here, but it's definitely a lot higher. Beautiful area up there too. There's the Guadalupe Mountains out there, about a 90-mile straight line distance from here. Great views all around. start back down pretty soon. We'll take the ridge back down to the lowest point, and then we'll work our way into this canyon down here. We basically made it to our lowest point on the ridge, which is kind of right there, but we're gonna start down now into the canyon. So it looks like there might be a cliff just a little ways beyond us, but we're gonna kind of go off to the left more, work our way down, and then once we get a little bit lower, it looks like it's gonna level out more. Just making our way down the wash. Not too bad. A lot of loose rock, but a lot of solid rock too. So just take your time, watch your footing, and it's not really too difficult. Just taking another break here. A little bit of shade. We've come down a long way. Still kind of steep. There's sections like this which are solid rock. You can go straight down or just kind of walk around. And you can kind of see the power of the water when it's really flowing, piling up all the rocks. Big piles of rock down there, past a few really big piles. There's where we parked, right there. We've come a long way down. At least 1,500 feet, maybe 2,000 already. We just had a major scare with a rattlesnake. It was right in the path that I was going to take, maybe about 10 feet in front of me. It rattled, luckily. It moved and hissed. So we had to skirt that. So I'm just trying to stay away from vegetation and out of the shade now and just watch where we're stepping. We just have a little ways to get out of the canyon, and then we'll try to find the Sotol trail and take that back up to the other trail, and then just take that straight back to the berm. So we left the wash on the other side of the hillside over there, and you can kind of see the trail along the top of the hill, and it worked its way around this little canyon here. And now we're just taking a little break. So there's the summit of Anthony's Nose up there, that furthest point. So we were climbing straight up the wash there where it's barren, you can see, and then started to go up to the right more, and we got up into that little, we were a little higher I think when we summited the ridge, and we worked our way across the ridge. So there's North Franklin Mountain there. And the gap over there, I think it's called Mundy's Gap. So you could actually follow the ridge from there all the way to the nose. It would be a long walk. There's the ridge. So we went up in that area. And then there's Anthony's Nose there. Be off these peaks early. If you were up there on Sierra Blanca today, you had to be off pretty fast because it's storming up there right now, or at least raining. It's not too much further to go. It might only be about a mile to the neighborhood, maybe even a little bit less. And then we'll just walk back either through the neighborhood or on the embankment back to where we parked, which is at the south end of the berm. Yeah, I told my brother, snakes won't live in the wash, don't worry, but that's where we saw it. It was kind of in a really shaded spot too. Probably was sunning itself a little earlier than moved into the shade. But other than the snake, I mean, that was the major scare. The ridge was a little scary, but not too bad. You just have to be careful up there. But otherwise, not that bad of a hike. I think the best way to go up is to go to take the Sotol trail out to the major wash that cuts up to just south of Anthony's Nose. That's probably better. And just watch out for snakes, obviously, even in the wash too. Just want to jump in that pool right now. It got hot, but not too bad. It may even still be in the high 80s right now. Cows grazing down here. It's pretty green here. They've been having a decent amount of rain lately. All right, last look at Anthony's Nose. We're back, no problems. My brother has a 5.5 hour drive back to the Phoenix area. I have about an 8.5 hour drive back to Austin. All right, hope you enjoyed this hike. Time to get moving.